Welcome back to MSI 2021 in the last game of the day. As we take a look at PSG Talon taking on the Istanbul WildCats. And the WildCats are currently 0-2 in this group. But if you look at just the record and the results, it does not tell the story of the game.
For sure.
They have been so back and forth and very, very interesting to deconstruct.
For sure, for sure. The games in this group have all been very, very close, and yet it's almost that means that this is a must-win game for the Wildcats, or else risking go 0-3. You only have 3 more games left to play in the group stage, and you have to make it into that top 2. With Mad Lions already sitting at 3-0, it's looking very good for them to go ahead and move on in the event, and a win here from the Wildcats would tie up Pain, PSG, and themselves.
Yeah, 1-2. Alternatively, if you see Talon picking up the win here, they put a bit of distance between themselves, Pain, and the Wildcats. And we turn our attention to the draft. And once again, we'll see what we're going to pick for these players. Now, one of the things that's interesting for me, we have seen River playing the Nidalee as well as the Rumble. We've seen Nocturne top. We've seen the Lee Sin in the middle. So these two teams have played around a little bit with some of the champions. And I want to see whether or not, similarly, StarScreen, he's on that set in the top lane as well.
For sure. We've seen some different styles, mainly over from the Wildcats. They've really mixed it up in their 2 games. PSG, on the other hand, have played 2 games in R, have played 2 games of Kai'Sa and Yone on the bottom side of the map, and it really was the mid lane where the biggest change happened. You know, it was a set first, and then it was a Lucian. In the jungle was a Nidalee, then it was a Rumble. So still a similar idea in the jungle, but especially for Maple, I feel like this is a guy you always want to see in a carry position, a mainstay from the PCS and the international stage. Representing them is so skilled. Cannot understate how much of a star he is.
Been around for such a long time. I want to go back to that Gnaw you mentioned just a moment ago. Hanabi played it twice already, and when you look back at his regular season, he played 15 games of Gnaw. The next closest was Renekton at 6. So definitely a high priority for Talon as well as Hanabi. And looking at the ban, Senna, Lee Sin, Faris as well as Leona, all removed from the pool. But those flavor of group stage 1 in terms of the Morgana and the Rumble both still up, and only one of them potentially bannable.
Yeah, I'm thinking that I really like this late Udyr ban over on blue side when both Rumble and Morgana have been left open, because it basically says, okay, Wildcats, Rumble's probably too good to give up just in general, so you get that ban, and then you can go ahead and lock yourself in something like the Morgana, and that seems like a pretty good strategy we've seen a couple times so far this tournament.
Yeah, we really have. That third ban on the red side being Rumble has happened several times. Instead, it's going to be the Nocturne, so both available. Is there a priority that River or Ferret prefer? And is there another option in mind? So these bans definitely look different. And when I was looking at the potential for these teams, I knew something funny was going to happen, and that is a first pick Renekton.
No! I mean, maybe, because both Rumble and Morgana are open, so it's possible PSG are just happy with that trade, but I personally think that Rumble is just so crazy right now. Not in love with the first pick Renekton when that is an option.
Now, it is a denial from StarScreen. I was talking about how much Hanabi loves his Gnaw. StarScreen loves his Renekton. 7 games played, and then 3 on Wukong. But it will be the Wildcats locking in their bottom lane. So Kai'Sa as well as Nocturne already secured, and leaving those jungle picks open, as you mentioned, because both are up, you can just pick one that you prefer.
Rumble Lucian is what I'm thinking here. If they want to reveal both solo laners, because the enemy side of Wildcats already locked in their bot lane, maybe we see an AD carry match, but I think that if you're locking in the Rumble in the jungle, probably hinting that you want to play some physical damage in the mid lane, and they've already run this combination with Lucian alongside the Rumble, so it would not surprise me to see that go ahead and get snapped in immediately.
Of course, if they do get that carry into Maple's hands, that's exactly what you want to see. Hovering on a number of options as we move towards this final pick on phase 1, and it does look like Kaiwing will be locking in the Thresh. So another champion, and we'll see whether or not the 80 champion pool will be pinched here by the Wildcats.
Well, it's Morgana. Almost certainly, right?
There was no doubt about that.
Yeah, Morgana too good. Also, when you consider like Morgana plus Nautilus, that's pretty menacing. The Black Shield gonna have a lot of value here too. You see the Thresh on the other side, even if you're not countering in the lane later on into the game, always going to have some pretty good use there. Now, interesting to see Wildcats targeting a Kai'Sa Thresh, obviously a very powerful combination we've seen used around the world just to try and dominate inside the laning phase, but there are still a lot of physical damage options available for Maple. The nice thing is, because you're running a Renekton in the top side too, Maple does still hold on to some flexibility. He can play a mage, and that would still be totally fine because Doggo, you know, is going to be bringing the physical damage from under.
And they could throw that Renekton mid, depending on what the WildCats throw out, albeit not expecting it. It will be the Kai'Sa, followed up by the Gnaw as a removal for what StarScreen would consider. And I would expect probably another AD carry ban maybe from WildCats. There's the Jinx, another high priority pick here at MSI.
All right, it's interesting because when you have the Thresh open, we just saw how insane the Aphelios can be in the later stages of the game too, so that is a possibility. Okay, so PSG, they say, well, actually, because you're running Morgana jungle, you might want an AD mid laner. Oh, that makes some sense. We banned Illusion ourselves because, of course, coming out of this first phase of picks, it will not be PSG with first pick.
What are you thinking about here for Doggo? I mean, Tristana, Aphelios coming to mind for the time being. I wonder what preference he wants to lean towards with 3 bans on the side of WildCats targeting his role. And the fact that Kai'Sa has already been pinched away. StarScreen will run the Gangplank into Hanabi and we'll find out what he prefers.
I mean, I think that there's nothing really wrong with going for the Aphelios if you need some more survivability. Of course, like the Xayah ultimate is very effective up against the Nautilus. If that's coming towards you, it's one of the only things you can use to dodge the point and click, so you can get away no problem. If this does get locked in, it does mean there's a lot of flexibility for PSG inside the early game. I like that they are going for the Aphelios, but right, you can play towards topside here with Rumble and Renekton into the GP if you want to try and look for maybe early tower dive, stacking up the wave, building it in to look for a punish. Of course, also as soon as level 6 rolls around for the bot lane too, you have a lot of setup when Rumble can just drop the equalizer and make it so easy for the follow-up to come through.
And the final lock-in, what will this be here for Maple? You know, a lot of damage from the Rumble, the Renekton, and it will be locking in the Aphelios. And just looking over at some of the ultimates that can be stolen, pretty big impact, not the largest right now, and Serin will need to decide what he wants to play into this Sylas. When you look at the rest of the composition, this is just damage galore for
Yeah,
Talon.
for sure. And you have a lot of these like CC ultimates. I think that's really important to see here next to the Sylas, because if you have a Nautilus ult plus a Rumble, no counterplay to get away from that. And it's actually a Yone to go ahead and get locked in at the end. That's a little spice coming out of Serin in the mid lane for the WildCats. A big switch up because, right, we were looking for maybe some physical damage to come out of that position for Serin. And, well, this is going to be a very different look because it all of a sudden just went from, oh, we have like some scaling elements in the top lane, it's going to be okay, to it's time to fight hard. We've got melee mid laners duking it out right next to some AP junglers with heavy impact ultimates.
Yeah, but what do these two compositions do when you zoom out and now look at them? There is just damage galore, no traditional real frontline in that regard. Maybe Renekton you can talk about. But it just feels to me like they want to fight, and they just want to land their skill shots to get the first kill.
Yeah, well, I think that, like, as far as PSG have it, like, whatever Maple does, he's going to find an ultimate to set up for the Rumble ult. And then what you want to do is you want to take River and Maple, get them out of the mid lane, attack top or attack bot lane, wherever you have the wave stacking up and looking for dives, because there's not a lot of great ways to escape from that sort of a combination. Of course, you have the late game reliable scaling of that Aphelios. Can be so hard to match, even with a Yone diving into the back line. We've seen fighters try to get into the face of an Aphelios. You think you've got him, he's down to 10%. No, it turns straight around your face, and you are feeling real bad afterwards.
Really the case, but if you look at the other side then, Morgana wants to peel back just a little bit. Nautilus can do, forward or backwards, and similar question. How do we see the WildCats ideally wanting to play this composition out?
Ooh, it's interesting, right? Because I think Serin can potentially play side lanes later on into the game too. You're always going to have the threat of the Gangplank ultimate raining down from the sky, and on top of that, you can look to attack side lanes like Kai'Sa and these sorts of things. So I think that there's a very dynamic composition over from the WildCats where they can be a little bit more flexible because of what they've locked in.
That's interesting. Then it also breeds the question around execution, right? Whatever plan or lane they decide to commit to, wherever they decide to move that Yone from the mid lane, what will it do? We do have a very brief pause as we've loaded up onto Summoner's Rift, so I will give you an update as soon as I can. But as we close out the first round robin here at MSI, another very interesting draft from the WildCats and from Talon, and a lot at stake. These two teams will come back on Monday. They'll close out the back half of the round robin. And And there's more pressure on the WildCats as they've yet to pick up a win, especially when you last pick a Yone.
Yeah.
You have to execute, and this is one of the champions that is feast or famine.
Oh, for sure, and especially because Maple was like, okay, what am I going to pick in the mid lane? Okay, it's the blind Sylas. What have you got? Maple feeling confident to run that champion into just about everything. Well, Serin now on the Yone going to hold a large burden on his shoulders. See what he can get done around the mid lane. Can you disrupt Maple from teaming up with River and impacting the rest of the map? We already know it's going to be hard to attack bot lane for the WildCats. It's going to be hard to attack top lane. Mid lane could be the answer.
Mid lane could be the answer. Okay, let's see, can they do it though? As we see Serin already stepping into lane, facing down. Got himself the Conqueror, flash TP, matched on the other side. And we're seeing this Rumble versus Morgana matchup. It's two junglers that have taken over the meta, and discussion had a huge impact on all the other lanes. As just a fan out here start from both sides, and both Ferret as well as River starting on the top half of the map.
For the time being, you see Rumble just smash that W key, get the Fury up. Of course, the big buffs there being the attack speed when you go for the overheat, the percent HP damage as well. It makes his jungle clear just absolutely crazy. He's always going to be showing up to the Scuttle Crab before it even spawns. And the WildCats don't have many great level 1 tools to try and disrupt anything that PSG are trying to do. So I like the late ward on the enemy Raptor camp. See that will spot out Ferret as he paths top to bot.
And I was just taking a look through the rest of the summoner spells during draft. You mentioned all the CC on Talon's side. HolyPhoenix running that cleanse, going to be crucially important, but so many tools and such long range to start your initiations when you consider the equalizer as well as the potential that can come down from Aphelios and then follow it up. We'll see Hanabi and StarScreen starting to match up. And I think once you start seeing these teams get a little bit of hit, get a little damage under their belt, they've got so many tools to find those picks and find those kills.
Yeah, StarScreen going to have to be on watch in this early game. We'll note Ferret will be starting topside, moving away from it. We already mentioned like stacking up the third or fourth wave for Hanabi, especially when River is going to be up towards that side of the map, especially as it gets super, super volatile up there. StarScreen is actually stepping into the trades, which, well, Gangplank does like to do, utilize the true damage of his passive, but does need to have the forethought that, well, his jungler's not going to be here for very long, and River is only going to get ever so close around the 3 to 4 minute mark.
And we saw their Farfetch stepping very far forward, throws out the dredge line, managed to connect there with Kaiwing, and able to just about to ding. Keeping my eyes on River and where he's going to move, starting off on the bottom half of the map, making his way north. Ferret the exact opposite. Yeah,
Serin just matched the ward on the enemy Raptor camp. It's like a peace of mind ward, because I think it's not the hardest thing in the world. It's like, okay, well, Rumble's going to be here pretty soon, but now you see that he's going to be going towards the top side. And again, StarScreen does have to look out just a little bit. The same like threat of a dive or whatnot isn't really present in the bot lane 2 versus 2, so very clearly Ferret just farming through the early jungle again. Ferret doesn't really like super speed through the jungle until it feels like maybe that first base that comes on through, but River will be just ever so behind in early tempo.
Yeah, you were talking about that Morgana earlier today, how kind of ramps up in effectiveness to clear multiple camps at the same time, and StarScreen will have this wave moving just a little bit closer as River will clear off his blue buff as expected, and Serin continues to push out that mid lane. Ferret just hits level 4, and a lot of pressure down bottom as HolyPhoenix and Farfetch are shoving in.
Well, check this out. StarScreen was channeling the recall for just a moment, decided not to end up going for it in the top side of the map, and that wave is building up. So after Scuttle Crab, the option is going to be there, and I think the right choice for StarScreen would be to go back to base, maybe teleport back in with full HP.
So a little bit of Ferret's Morgana in the river. Unsure if Talon noticed. I didn't see any pings. There was the recall from StarScreen. He's going to TP back to this top lane. Just a small CS deficit, as River has already recalled once he picked up that top scuttle. So no meaningful advantage as of yet outside of this top lane CS, and you expect that in the early levels.
It's the force play, though, right? It's something that StarScreen has to do. Of course, the dive didn't end up coming through, but you have to pay the respect, and it causes River to end up going for the early base. You'll notice both mid laners did also hold on to their teleport. Hanabi doesn't even have to go back to base just yet, but Ferret will be in the area. There was a ward left in that tri-brush. And there's a TP flank here from Serin. He's just sending it.
Well, let's see what Serin can do. Dredge line will not find its target. River will arrive just in time. Doggo's already flashed, still has heal available to him. Now River's going to start firing out those Electro Harpoons, as well as the Flame Spitter for first blood. Turns his attention to Farfetch, and it is donated to Maple.
That is just a terrible teleport. I don't know what Serin was thinking. Ferret just recalled walk topside. River, you knew his pathing. He's only ever going to be bot lane, and Maple also had the TP to respond. Even if River wasn't there, Hanabi has his teleport, so that is just inexcusable. Serin's trying to send it to look for the early edge, but did not do his homework before.
You just mentioned that both mid laners had the teleport, and River was able to be there just in time by a couple extra seconds for Maple to arrive, who's now picked up a kill and an assist. River on that rumble with a kill of his own, and now Ferret and Farfetch stepping forward, but Maple is paying respects. He's not overstepping his bounds, and he doesn't get caught out. It's 1,300 gold at 5 minutes.
Yeah, he's got the ward there that sees them moving over, and again, it's just math. Right now it's 3 versus 2, but it's about to be 4 versus 3 in favor of PSG. They don't have the burst damage to finish off Doggo either. He even holds onto the flash through this play, so just a big misread there from the Wildcats, and it kind of explodes the entire bot lane for them too.
We'll be able to at least pick up the dragon here, Ender. And after how disappointed you are at that teleport, let's talk about what this means for a champion like Yone. He's still a little bit ahead on the CS, but I said during draft, this is a champion that's kind of feast or famine. Does it start to make you a little bit nervous?
I mean, yes, it does make me nervous. It's not even as much about the Yone, I think, as it is about the Aphelios, right? Aphelios completely can take over games, and there's not a lot of great dive threats from the Wildcats, right? You have the GP ult and, of course, the Yone, and especially if Yone has a black shield on him, like, that's really threatening going over towards Doggo, but Doggo's always going to have Kaiwing sitting next to him, and there's a threshold you reach on Aphelios where you get a little bit of life steal, you walk into the fights with the right guns, and you are nigh unkillable, and that has just got sent forward just a little bit with those couple of assists to start off the game.
So many years of experience helping out there as well, and that's going to be a difficult challenge to overcome as the Wildcats start to fall back. And also, remember that these players already have the pressure of being down 0-2 during the course of the group stage. It becomes so difficult if they're unable to claw this one back. And I think you have to highlight the fact here that Serin is farming just a little bit better in this middle lane, hit level 6 a tad earlier. He's marginally ahead, but he needs to have a positive impact. And of course, Hanabi is still doing very well in this top lane. Continues to bully, continues to push into StarScreen. And while he won't be able to have that global impact that StarScreen's ultimate will have, you need to fear those Renektons. We've seen just how big they can be when they attack that back line.
I do like the idea from Farfetch and HolyPhoenix to see if they can make an attack on mid, but I don't think it's going to work out against Maple. You'll notice, if we look at the bot lane on your minimap, like it's being sort of pushed against PSG. PSG can just hold the wave in front of their turret. Because Ferret's in the top side, you can't step forward because HolyPhoenix and Farfetch, neither of them have the flash, so it's impossible to lane. Look at this, it's just miserable. They have to go to their jungle camps and farm them. That's making Ferret unhappy. HolyPhoenix is unhappy because he's not getting his actual minions in his actual lane, and this is the type of snowball effect that destroys a team on the international stage. One mistake to start off the game has turned into so much more, and I think the Wildcats are gonna take some solace in the fact that on this stacking wave, PSG aren't actually setting up some sort of turret dive, which very well could have been a possibility if they'd wanted to.
And then you add on to the fact that StarScreen's under so much pressure in the top lane, he feels the need to use the Cannon Barrage to clear the waves out. I mean, you're seeing that at 8 minutes into the game. It is a worrying sign if you're a fan of the Wildcats from Istanbul, and they're down 2k gold. They do have that dragon, which is one small solace to talk about, and they do have the ability to blow up one of the smaller or squishier targets on the side of Talon.
I like it. Zooming on forward to place down the ward, and then you snap back into the lane. It's the little things.
You just watch Talon picking this one up. And where did they decide to put it? River has access to the ultimate. Dominus is up for Hanabi as well. He's got those plated steel caps too. So now the dive power is on the cards, and Doggo swapping.
I think this is a brilliant play from PSG to run to the top lane because, they're winning top lane, they're winning bot lane. Why swap, you ask? Well, the one lane swap tool was just blown. StarScreen used his Cannon Barrage to clear a wave in the top lane, and usually if you go for a swap against a GP, you always lose on the turret pressure because of that global, that wave clear tool. Now Ferret is zooming up into the top lane, but Doggo doesn't take the bait. I like it. The patience comes through. Farfetch had to go for the preemptive hook, and does not connect.
As you predicted, didn't manage to catch this time round, and I think important to call out, HolyPhoenix has closed that gap ever so slightly. Kaiwing will get caught up by the Hex Flash Dredge line. There's the equalizer coming out. Doggo gets pulled forward, white-red combination, gonna melt through StarScreen. Ferret may be the next target, as the Soul Shackles will find itself a stun, and there's a lot of damage followed up from the root, the Dredge line as well. Heal is thrown down from Doggo, he continues to fire out, and the fate is unsealed. Serin is in the game.
PSG go for the fight on the top side, and the Wildcats WildCats like, yeah, I don't think you want to go for that one. Serin was already on the rotation over, so he's able to right some of the wrongs of the early game. That is an important kill to get the bot lane back in the game.
Crucially, though, it shows how difficult it may be to deal with Aphelios. He didn't have the damage at that time, and if he manages to pick up those items, we'll see in the new X Effect replay, not this time, it is going to be scary as the game plays out, was the point I was trying to get to.
Well, Farfetch was using the Hex Flash over the wall. Kaiwing just a little bit too far forward, trying to clear away the waves, and it's a lot of pain coming off of that play as well, as Doggo is removed from the map, doesn't get to clear out the following wave. And again, if you did a freeze frame before that play, everything's going well for PSG, because Hanabi had actually forced HolyPhoenix to base. He's like, you can't 1v1 me. Well, now we got 3 players in the bot lane.
No flash from StarScreen, and that was well set up there by Kaiwing. Flash into the flank, easily set up and donated to Doggo. Good boy there, picking up his first kill. He's got 2 assists as well, and this will also open up damage onto these plates.
Yeah, well, we've also got Rift Herald too, right? That's in the bot lane too on River's back, and they can just whack this turret a couple of times, place that themselves. They might not even need to use it necessarily, depending on the defense. You'll see Serin is on the way down, and StarScreen does have ult and TP when he does spawn.
Serin is going to make his way down to the bottom here, and River's going to step by. No ultimate available for that Yone. Death Sentence will connect onto Farfetch, and the dredge line will be dodged away from once again.
You know, I have to say, like, looking at Doggo's positioning, just literally standing so close to WildCats, but behind the Herald, he's kind of mad like that. You know, I watched him domestically a bit, and he was just so crazy playing the Tristan, always jumping forward. Seemed like he was out of control, but mechanically very, very gifted player, and it's plays like those Doggo plays where he surprises you, because not a lot of players stand there. Like, he's not really doing anything, but he's just staring you down, saying, yeah, I dare you to try and go on me.
It's the confidence and the bravado to be in that position, right? To dare the WildCats to do anything about it. The gold lead gets extended. The first tower has now fallen, all plates secured. And the WildCats now trying to make their way down south.
This could be pretty big here. 4 players, and they have the teleport if they want to get involved. It's going down.
The box has been thrown out, and Ferret's on the wrong side of the rift, but the damage has already been connected, and Doggo will be taken out. It's traded for HolyPhoenix and Farfetch, and 2 more quick kills from Talon. Ferret will be the next target for River and Kaiwing. While that's going on, StarScreen is being run down by Hanabi and Maple. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 kills, the ace at 12 minutes.
Just brutal there. The WildCats walked straight across the equalizer, it looked like, and, well, that does a lot of damage. River now sitting 3-0-4 on the Rumble. The WildCats had a couple of good fights, but they full sent it there, thinking that Ferret's positioning was good enough. Well, it wasn't. Now PSG are going to get the Drake.
I'm going to have to ask you to explain something to me. So excuse me for the small diatribe. What does sent it mean?
Sent it?
Yeah.
Oh, you're like full sending it. You're going in. Send it!
In?
Yeah, you're going in.
So is this like common lingo? Because this
this is a thing.
Well, let's take a look at this team fight here.
Okay. See, they're sending it. They're sending it while they, flash forward, dash forward, do all that. They're going all in. But, yeah, you'll notice they just walk into the meat grinder. They're all dead, and that's even without the stolen depth charge.
There's not enough damage connecting to the players of Talon, and the response, because they have 4 threats, from top to bot. Every single one of them has the ability to destroy the WildCats. Talon just extend that lead even further. We've had very dominant wins over the course of the last few days, and Talon stepping up to the plate, led by River and by Maple, and they're just going to push this lead even further.
The thing is, it's like such a massive gold lead in the carry positions. Like, the difference, like, look at the CS in the top lane. Yep. 121 to 68. 1,700 gold. Bot lane is over 2,000 now. Before the fight, it was still big. Now it's even larger, and it's WildCats willingly walking into these equal numbered fights. These are not the fights that they want to be finding. They need to attack a side lane, outmaneuver PSG in some way, but they continue to send it. It's not working for them.
Remember, I'm not down with the kids' lingo these days, so I had to ask at some point. And it's going to take such a long time before the WildCats' itemization will be able to, balance out this difference. There's 3 mythics on the side of Talon already versus thrift shopping from the WildCats. So that's going to be complicated even further. The plates have just fallen. It's 1 dragon apiece, and Farfetch is just waiting on the top lane here. Flash just about available for Doggo, and the rest of both teams
I like the idea, but River's right here, and even with 4 players, the equalizer does so much damage. Night Harvester finish, Gale Force on Doggo too. Like, the power of items, the power of money is just, frankly, more than the power of friendship in this game.
And that means that they can threaten wherever they want to. Long-range engage for that equalizer just sets up the follow-up, right? Damage, the slow, allows Thresh or Maple to jump onto the targets, and Ferret's now going to step forward. That's the dash coming at you from Maple. Serin continues to hold on to the ult for now. No follow-up, and dashes back, and second Herald will now be picked up. Is there an attempt on the top lane? HolyPhoenix and Farfetch not yet extended enough for the engage.
All right. Wow. I'm just like looking around the map because like PSG just seems to be bullying the WildCats everywhere. I'm like, when was the last time we saw Hanabi and StarScreen on our screen? And it was like, well, it's because Hanabi's just been completely bullying him. We've been censoring that. And if you look at the total gold on the left side of your screen, yeah, that's just how this game is going. PSG miles ahead in every single position.
It really is. 3 versus 4 for now, but Hanabi is making his way up through the river. White-red from Doggo allows a lot of damage to go onto the tower and still sticking around, still staying forward until the Lantern actually times out. And I think, again, you know, before this game started, we were talking about how the games in this group have kind of played out. WildCats started their tournament against Pain and had a pretty good, pretty aggressive early game, generated a big lead, and then unfortunately weren't able to close it out.
Look at Hanabi. He's just going on a little trip through the enemy jungle. Don't mind me.
He's going to be doing so much damage.
Thanks for the ult.
144 CS, 101. Doesn't care, doesn't give a damn because they've just got such a gigantic advantage.
Yeah, so he was bot lane for quite some time, and StarScreen's decided to try and freeze the lane and just get as much gold as he can. And Hanabi's like, okay, whatever, dude. I'm gonna get the work done inside the jungle. So they get the tower off that play. StarScreen will be telling his team, it's okay, guys, I'm getting gold, and that is true for the time being. But when push comes to shove, Hanabi's still incredibly, incredibly powerful, and now it's up to PSG to attack, to punish StarScreen for going for the freeze, because there's no objectives on the map. No Herald, no Drake for the next minute or whatnot, so they already got the top lane tower. Now it's about hitting the mid lane.
Well, Maple's going to start this one off. River arrives. He's going to be caught out here. Equalizer comes down. Serin forced to dash away with his ultimate. Cannot hold the lane. Herald could be dropped to put pressure on this tower.
Yeah, the Herald's going to be too much. I was going to say before the Herald, maybe you can use the Cannon Barrage to cut down on that minion wave. Then only your teammate needs to delete the cannon minion. Yeah, see, I don't think that Cannon Barrage is going to accomplish much of anything. It does keep the tower alive for the time being, but look at this. River and Hanabi, they're already into the ball lane, and StarScreen's freeze is slipping away.
Oh, there's still a flash available for this Gangplank. He's already used it, gets caught by those harpoons, and is melted on the night.
Like a glacier in 2021, it's melting.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. There's a solo kill up in the top lane as Maple gets himself yet another. That's a dash forward from Doggo thanks to the Gale Force. Now he's got caught out and taken out, a little bit eager. Serin continues the pressure and damage onto Kaiwing.
Remember when I told you that Doggo was kind of crazy sometimes?
Yes!
He's wild with it, okay? He's got his flies, he's got his heal up. No problem, guys. He's just gonna run it down mid lane while the rest of his team gets this lead even bigger.
The proof is in the pudding, and Doggo continues to pressure using the abilities. But the thing is, right, when you have this gigantic lead, you do tend to see teams play a little bit looser, a little bit more eager, shall we say. Oh man, and Maple just committing the flash for that one.
Are you winning, son?
No, absolutely not. And even if you could try to get away, Maple with a stolen ultimate would be able to jump right in there. And if you look at the minimap, there is no more map for the WildCats to play for. They've now lost their second dragon. WildCats are looking down the barrel of an 0-3 start to MSI.
Not the position you want to be in. Only 3 more games left to play in the group stage. If you want to move on to the Rumble stage, only the top 2 teams in each group will get that honor. And well, PSG, now it's just about closing it out. 6.5K gold. They're looking oh so good now. Already, you know, we were just waiting on like one more mythic item. Maple was a little bit behind the curve for a moment.
The interesting thing is the lead is so big so early that the pace of the game slows down very drastically because it becomes a lot more difficult to push those inner turrets. It becomes a lot more risky, obviously, to push into the enemy jungle. And also, what objectives are you going to play for? Baron's not up yet. It's still 4 minutes away from Dragon. I think WildCats a little lucky to have picked up that first Dragon. It'll just slow down the soul. But ultimately, to bring back the game from this deficit and the amount of control they have and the challenges they need to overcome with Talon's composition, they're hoping for some Talon mistakes.
Yeah, well, PSG have already hinted to us what their game plan is until, you know, the Baron and the big objectives do end up spawning before it's like, Hanabi, well, when the lane in bot lane gets frozen, it's about him walking into the enemy jungle, getting behind enemy lines, setting up picks inside enemy territory. And you can see they've done a good job at isolating this bottom side jungle. That one ward from the Wildcats is going to end up timing out. Very, very shallow vision from the red side team here. And, well, they've given up top side vision, but that does mean that they are able to cut off rotations between both mid and bot lane. So what they can do is they can full push this wave in mid lane and then sort of fake out and run down towards the bot lane, do this sort of ping pong effect. The second you see the Wildcats, you know, overstep or commit too many into one of these lanes.
Yeah, you just keep applying pressure until somebody makes a move. And it feels as though Farfetch's dredge lines have been countered by that Lantern from Kaiwing. Countless times this game already.
And the other great thing about having a Rumble here is, like, River's allowed to just stay inside of the jungle because his ultimate, very high range. He can sort of play both between mid lane and bot lane. If the Wildcats were ever trying to attack one area, he could very quickly respond.
I mean, you just feel the fishing here from Wildcats. They're just hoping for a skill shot to land. If they find something connecting, they do have some ability with Serin, with HolyPhoenix, with the Cannon Barrage to jump on a target. But it has to work, because if they don't, much like that team fight we saw probably like 6-7 minutes ago in the bottom lane, yeah, they managed to get a kill onto Doggo, but everyone else from Talon just melted through the Wildcats for a very early ace.
And don't let the KDA fool you. Doggo has more gold than anyone else in the game. It's evident there with the 2 items. He's also sitting on enough for a BF sword, 1,400 in the inventory. So he finished off that item. We'll see what direction he goes. Very likely just the Infinity Edge, perhaps, for him.
2,000 lead in the top lane, 2,500 lead in the bot lane, 1,300 lead in the mid lane, 1,300 lead in the jungle. I mean, look, it's 8K in the advantage, right? So, like, obviously.
So it's a lot, is what I'm gathering.
But I think it is important to call out, like, the tower plates and swapping to get additional plates up top is a big reason on why Doggo's Aphelios has been able to build up this lead. And he's becoming almost unkillable. He's getting to that point, 2-3 items where Aphelios is truly activated. And I think a good thing for Talon, now that Baron is up, because of the amount of control and the amount of pressure they've applied to Wildcats, they can now start baiting and forcing Wildcats' hands just a little bit more.
I don't even know if he wanted that hook. If it did land Farfetch, these guys do a whole lot of damage. And now, because there is a major objective with the gravity to try and pull in all the players on the map can contest it whenever PSG disappear into the fog of war, Wildcats have to play so aggressive here, but they don't know where anyone is. Look at the equalizer.
The equalizer is not going to be followed up just yet by Maple. Farfetch is the first victim of the fray. Hanabi, will he be able to TP in? There's enough damage to force Serin and Ferret to 50%.
PSG only used the equalizer. Every other ultimate is ready to go. Maple's playing in the same exact position on the flank. And the Wildcats, they used so much in that play, they lost Farfetch, and they're getting hooked.
Oh man, the Lantern as well as the death sentence. Goodbye, Ferret. There will be a turret picked up by
Maple,
Wildcats.
do your thing.
Maple's gonna go golden. Hanabi will arrive in time to buy some time. That's a gigantic heal coming out from Maple on the Sylas. HolyPhoenix is so low, and Ferret has
by the way, PSG is still on the Baron.
Unbelievable. The turnaround, Hanabi will buy some time thanks to the Q and not be able to escape with his life, but they get themselves a couple of kills. Doggo and River should be able to finish this one off.
Yeah, Doggo has the crescendum just railing away at the Baron. Easily picked up by them. And now we're teleporting to the bot lane. Maple is a little bit bored. He wants to end things quickly. He sees kill, he wants it, and instead he's changing his mind. He's now going back towards the mid lane.
Won't be able to figure it out because it is 10 seconds until the dragon. Kaiwing survives the engage. Now Maple wants to get something back. It's caught by the dredge line. Lantern comes up. River arrives to help out if needed. Equalizer is back and available. We've been fighting for so long. It came back up. Farfetch flashes away from the death sentence, gets the black shield to buy some additional time, and he's not going to be able to escape. The flash harpoon from a River. Third dragon is available. It may not even be needed. StarScreen will just finish the recall. And this is just a one-sided affair. Talon are styling on the Wildcats.
By the way, that equalizer, you're wondering why it was up so fast? It's a 51-second cooldown.
That is ridiculous.
At this point in the game. If you're not running Ultimate Hunter on your Rumble Jungle, guys, you're making a mistake. That rune is crazy. And, I mean, River's just proven it here.
5-0-7 on the Rumble. Maple 6-0-3 on the Sylas and ended during the draft. You talked about how you wanted to see those two combining, putting pressure on the other lanes, and it's worked out fantastically. If you look at the minimap, by the way, notice the Talon members starting to move towards the mid lane.
And we're really gonna show Serin getting killed again. Man can't catch a break here. River, of course, was just clearing his jungle camps and said, hello, I'll help out and pick up another assist.
It's really, really difficult. I mean, WildCats now starting to fall further behind. Give Farfetch a leak. He's about as useful as that Pokemon. River will be able to finish off the 14th kill. 3 dragons already secured, and we look at the minimap now. Talon running their way
PSG
forward.
are angry, it would seem.
Equalizer comes down. The words you used a moment ago, Ender, was that Maple wants to finish this game quick. Ferret flashes forward, throws down the ulti, goes golden, will buy enough time. Not enough to complete the Soul Shackles. Cannon Barrage has dropped out as well. Hanabi picks up HolyPhoenix on the back. And it's Maple that gets the second kill into Farfetch. It's another one for Doggo. And the last man standing, Serin, running for his life. Still 55 seconds left on this Baron. And PSG Talon are looking to close the game out, go 2-1 in the groups, and set themselves up as one of the preferred or favorites as we move into the second round.
That wasn't even a strategy. Nope. That was just aggressively charging face first at your opponents, and they can't escape. PSG. Oh, they see hero, they kill hero, and now they've got themselves an inhibitor. Not looking for the end just yet. You'll notice the rest of the team, the Soul Laners, just trying to min-max the CS, take jungle camps left and right. And it doesn't get better from here.
No, it doesn't. I mean, Serin even committed the ultimate there for a potential pick on the way out. Didn't find the target. His Talon escaped. They've got supers in the top lane. But it asks more questions when we look at how the games have been played in this group. Every single team has had very different looks and very different results for each game. That's what you said. Just run them down. Just run him down.
Not sure what more I can tell you guys on this one. We literally just walked in a straight line. There's no damage that can really be done in the back line at all. Doggo sustains through it all. Doesn't really matter. Hanabi charges into the back line, kills HolyPhoenix. What can you say?
Well, you can say that Talon are just playing this one great. You know, a few little messy plays every now and again, but 26 minutes, 12k gold. The Infinity Edge completed there for Doggo. They've got supers in the top lane. They may not even need the Soul or the next Baron to close this one out because it doesn't feel like WildCats can really do anything to stop PSG, and they definitely cannot deal with the range.
There's no answer to this one.
No,
this is, you know, WildCats get one more chance, and then I think PSG are taking it.
Okay, so let's look ahead, right?
Yeah.
So these teams now come back on Monday. PSG and I think WildCats as well. They've shown a couple of different champions that are a little bit of a surprise. I wondered if Kaiwing is going to follow that one through. And Talon are going to push into the base. You have to think about River's impact that he's shown here on this Rumble. The performance Maple has had on the Silence and whether or not they can do this again. Because if Talon want to advance to the Rumble stage, then you'd be able to pick up some wins, push Pain, and push WildCats down.
Yeah, would send them up to 2 wins, right? So would put them in a very good position for those later matchups. And I think that PSG, very clearly the stronger team between these two based off of this performance from start to finish. These towers now really starting to get knocked down. WildCats are sending it.
Ferret's looking for Maple, and now he's on the wrong side of the enemy team. HolyPhoenix still got the ultimate if he wants to use it. Ferret, by some additional time, stays alive. The Lantern from Doggo, who, by the way, was on the other side of the team, 1 versus 4. Just playing exactly the same way he does regionally. Maple
1v4? We'll take a 1v3.
Won't be able to find the damage just yet. Fate Unsealed is stolen. He catches 1 and 2. The rest of the support comes in from Talon. Doggo will be able to pick up the kill there onto StarScreen, and Maple is finally taken down for the first time this game, and it does not matter. Maple does not give a damn. Talon destroy the WildCats. 22 kills to 6. 14,000 gold in the lead, and Talon in the first round robin at MSI, 2 wins to 1.
Putting the PCS in a good position to move on into the Rumble stage. 3 more games left to play. This marks the end of the first half round robin.
Yep.
And of course, each group is going to play all their games, each, you know, following the next
day.
3 days. Yeah.
So they got a day to rest and recuperate. WildCats in a very difficult situation, right? The one game that they could have won against Pain, they had an advantage, they had the lead. Pain Gaming dug deep and came back. I think I also want to call out the fact that Pain dug deep and pushed Mad Lions as well, really made them work for it. But for WildCats, they're the first team on the verge of being eliminated.
Yeah, it's going to be very tough for them to try and battle back the next couple of days here, and yet at the same time, like, PSG just took one big mistake from the WildCats in the early game, right? Like the teleport into the bot lane really got things off on the wrong foot, and I don't think they made too many more mistakes themselves, right? You know, there's maybe like one or two missteps on the top side of the map, but really throughout every single lane was just so far ahead. Hanabi, we didn't really talk about him. He was kind of quietly just smashing his way through the top lane, and it was a big factor in their win.
It has been a hell of a day here at MSI. We'll talk a little bit about it at MSI Cooldown in just a few minutes, where I will be joined by Vedius and Raz for a look at today's highlights. We'll see you then.
Oh, I get to leave?
You get to leave.
So yes. I don't see them.
I'll see you tomorrow.
I don't. Okay, later, dude. Later.
Find X3 Pro.